Welcome to another episode of John Long's Silver Rails. I have here this little locomotive called 8632. Now, when I got this engine, it didn't run. It had an electronic system in it instead of the mechanical system. It had a DC motor and it had a smoke unit. I got a motor from a 2034 Scout type locomotive, and I noticed that all four drive wheels were threaded, but they weren't quartered. So I got the idea, let's see if that motor will go in this locomotive. And sure enough, it went right in. But I did have to re-quarter the back drive wheel so that these rods here would work. As you can see, I have them on both sides. So now it's strictly an AC motor. I put the smoke unit in from the DC motor, but so far it hasn't come to life. I did put smoke fluid in it. I doubt it'll come to life while we're running it, but we'll see. Now, speaking of smoke fluid, my favorite, believe it or not, is coal-fired steam. It smells kind of like it did back in the 50s. You youngsters probably never smelled that smell. The other, what I have is Grandpa's pipe smoke. You probably don't have that type smell in your memory system either, but my grandfather-in-law smoked a pipe all the time. And then I got Christmas pine, just because I think it goes good during the Christmas season. They come in all kinds of flavors, folks. But if you haven't tried it, try it just for the fun of it. The coal smell, the smoke that really does smell like real coal-fired steam. If you're gonna have all these fancy smoke coming out everywhere on your engine, out of pop valves and whistles and side cylinders and all that, you might as well add the smell to the sound and the visibility of the stuff. We're pulling 4 Lionel passenger cars, and let's see what it does. How about that, folks? It actually works. There's a little bump over there at the switch, and now it's acting up. I don't know why that happened. Never happened before, but maybe I didn't have the pilot quite on the track. I'll pull it back carefully and take a look at it. Yeah, it's off the track. It derailed. And I think my switch is set correct. These fast track switches are so slick that if you run against one, it normally just switches over for you without derailing, but this time it didn't happen. That's probably because I had the pilot off. Like I said, I need the 7-year-old every time. All right, here we go. One more try. I put under this tender that came with that locomotive one of those rotating drums that make a slight steam sound. I doubt you can hear it though. It's not loud. Now, the other thing that I did with this engine is I found on eBay a base that had this noise-making system here. But it's not very loud, unfortunately. But it's supposed to be a primitive way of having a steam chuffing sound. So I finally concluded this project. This is as far as I'm going to go with it. You can see what the Scout, this is the better Scout motor. You can see what that looks like in there. What's good about it is these roller pickups and the fact that it's very serviceable. And this little engine has a solid bell. I see no whistle on it. It doesn't have metal handrails. They're cast into the casting. Has this nice white stripe though. It has a feed water heater on the top. Pretty much normal headlights. Got the little marker lights here. Too bad they didn't punch them through to have the headlight shine through, but they didn't do that. Other than that, it's pretty typical. Got some detail on the back there. I like it anyway. It is what it is. And I was glad to be able to figure out a way to experiment and save it and upgrade it at the same time. It should last for years with any luck. Thank you. Next, I want to show you my new locomotive. Number 541, Denver and Rio Grande Lionel ski train. I believe it's an FT. I have not been able to find this in a catalog because I couldn't get access to old enough catalogs, and yet it is still very new. I do not know just what it has inside, whether it works on one of these modern systems that run on 18 volts and whatnot, but it will run conventional. And so I'll show it to you pulling my ski train. By happenstance or whatever, these passenger cars are a fairly good match for it. So that's nice. And yes, it does work. Now the seller said sometimes it acted up. It hasn't acted up yet for me, thank goodness. We'll see. Well, folks, it does make a lot of noise, and if that's your thing, well, okay, but I find it pretty garbled. I can hardly understand what they're saying. Horn is adequate. I think it's an FT because of the shape of this. And overall, I don't know much about FTs. I've never had one before. It has the horns right here, one facing forward, one back. I guess these would be the cooling fans or something. These are the stacks. Some of the later versions of this actually smoked out of these stacks, but mine doesn't. It's solid. And double motor appears to be, because you see gears on both wheels. I haven't had the top off yet. And that's where the speaker is located that makes a nice garbled noise. Lionel LLC, made in China. it is what it is. I'm happy with it because I didn't pay that much for it. And I really don't like to buy the locomotives that have the electronics in them, because when they go bad, all I do is convert them over to one direction only, and that's it. Same thing with the Mice Train House Protosound ones when they go bad. Now, I'll show you one more thing before we conclude. I've shown this before, but it's been a long time. This is a Marx 3/16 scale boxcar, which I custom painted. I had a hard time finding decals, and I had to really fiddle around to make them fit, because they're kind of big for this little thing. But it worked out. I'm very happy with it. Well, folks, that's all for tonight. Good night.